So we're starting the book of Shemot, the second book in the Torah, the names. These are the names. They already mentioned the names of the tribes. Everything is in a Hebrew name. Talking about names, everything is captured in the name. The essence is the name. So what's the meaning and the significance of the name? These are the names of the Jewish people. And why does he say Haboyim, that are coming into Egypt? He should have said that came into Egypt. They came into Egypt in the past. The Torah is now telling us what happened after they passed away. That the Torah is eternal. The Torah is speaking to each and every one of us. Because on one hand, a name is something that's very superficial. It's like a handle, a label, something you can grab. You grab a vessel with a handle. A person needs a name, a handle, which you can call him, identify him. But it's external to the person. We're born without labels. We don't come with any tags. You have to wait till the bris to find out what your name is. So a name is very external, superficial, and many people have names. I don't know what the name means or what it signifies, or it doesn't tell me anything about the personality, the character. Yes, everything is in the name. But the name only begins, when the person is born, and the soul, the way the soul interacts with the body. But the interface of the soul and the body, but the essence of the soul is nameless. Soul in heaven doesn't have a name. It's beyond names. A name is like the channel, like we learn in the Tanya, the second part of the Tanya, the first chapter. The name is the channel of the energy, of the soul's energy into the body. The channel, the divine energy that creates this world and all the world. So the name is really channeling the energy into the body, which is very, it's a very superficial part of the soul. The body can't contain the essence of the soul. The body can only contain the conscious level of the soul, the surface, the superficial level of the soul. So a name, and any way you look at it, a name is something that's very external and very superficial. You don't need a name for yourself. If you're Robinson Crusoe alone on an island, you don't need a name. A name is, there's other people that they need to identify you, to label you. But you don't need a name. If you go through your whole life and you don't have a name, are you missing anything? You're missing a finger, you're missing an ear, you're missing a nose. What are you missing exactly? You're not missing anything. It's completely external, superficial to the person. You do have a name, you don't have a name. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change your brain, your mind, your heart, your feelings. It doesn't matter to you at all. A name is only your interaction, your interrelationship to another person. And even within yourself, it's almost like to the essence of the soul, a name, when the soul is given a name, when you're born and you enter into this world, the soul enters into the body, it's like your interaction with someone else. In comparison to the essence of the soul, the name is your interaction with someone else, with your body. It's this most external, superficial part of the soul. So a name is very, very superficial. And that's what the Torah is telling us, that these are the names of the Jewish people that entered into Egypt. That it's only the name that enters into Egypt. Egypt, Mitzrayim, the Hebrew word for Egypt, Mitzrayim, comes from the word Mitzarim, limitations, confinement. So all the exiles, all the confinements, including our personal confinements, our personal difficulties, challenges, confinements, existential angst, and all our difficulties and challenges is called Mitzrayim. So the Torah is telling us the soul is coming to Mitzrayim, is constantly coming into Egypt, because the soul can never really make peace with his exile. To the soul, it's a fresh exile. Every moment that the soul is confined in the body, the soul never stops crying. You know, when we're born, we cry, the baby cries. But the truth is, the soul never stops crying. We just don't hear the cry. And the reason we don't hear the cry is because the cry is so loud that we simply can't hear it. On the contrary, the cry gets louder and louder with each passing day. Because with each passing day, we become a little coarser, a little crasser, a little more comfortable, content, satisfied, smug. We look out of touch, out for lunch. So the soul is even greater pain. The soul doesn't lose any of its purity, sensitivity, goodness, depth. So the soul is in constant angst, is in constant pain. That's why people are addicted, is because of people, actually very sensitive people, are constant pain. And they need to sugarcoat that pain. They need constant distractions. That's why our generation needs constant entertainment, constant vacation from reality, because reality is just too painful. So you need constant escapism. So the soul is constantly entering into this Egypt, into this confinement. So the Torah is telling us, you should know that this confinement and this limitation only affects the surface of the soul, the superficial part of the soul, the name. It cannot affect the essence of the soul. We don't have the freedom of choice to do damage, to harm, or to even touch the essence of the soul. Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya that even when a Jew sins, his faith remains intact. At the same time that he's sinning, and is defying Hashem, going against Hashem, going against his divine will and doing something that's not godly, at that very moment, he's truly connected. His faith remains pure, unadulterated, untouched. So that's comforting. That's what gives us the confidence that inevitably there'll be an exodus. Because if the exile would affect our core and essence, then it's hopeless. Then you might as well throw in the towel, raise the white flag and just surrender. You can't fight City Hall. If everything around you is so hopelessly corrupt and decadent and riddled with lies and like a forest of lies, so then you would just give up. But this is the book of Exodus. So the Torah is telling us right at the outset, right at the beginning, that yes, this constant going down into Egypt, this constant existential angst and pain and exile. But at the same time, you have to remember it's only the name, the most superficial part of the soul, that's affected by the exile. But the essence, the core, your core and essence, it's located at the very center of your being, and that is your truth, remains above the exile, untouched, unaffected by the exile. So that gives us the hope. But Rashi says that the reason why the Torah counts the names again, even though the Torah told us the names, spelled out the names of the tribes that came down into Egypt in the first book, in the book of Genesis, because to show us the love, Hashem's love for the Jewish people. That he's constantly counting us and he's calling us with a name. So a name is an expression of love. It's like a parent. It's like a parent. The ultimate expression of love is when a parent calls their child by their name. There are many ways you can express your love. You can kiss your child. But in order to kiss or hug your child, you have to be close to your child. When your child is asleep, it doesn't mean anything to kiss them or to hug them. You have to be awake. But a parent will lovingly call the name of the child, loves to mention the name of the child at all times and all places, whether the child is there, the child is not there, child is awake, not awake. Every time you say their name, it just warms your heart. In other words, since it's not limited, it's an expression of love that's not limited, it's a vessel and a vehicle for the ultimate expression of love. It's not limited to physical proximity. You have to be close to them and they have to be awake and they have to feel close to you. And even if they're not even there, just mentioning their name fills your heart with love for them. So the name, Hashem names the Jewish people. Every time he names us, he calls us by our name. It's an ultimate expression of love. Because a name, yes, on one hand, a name is very external and superficial. But on the other hand, the name itself is actually, it's like a handle. But when you grab the handle, you grab the whole, everything that comes with it. When someone calls you by your name, your essence responds to that name. You know, it's called the cocktail effect. You could be in a room with 1,000 people, a disco, and the music is so loud, people can't even hear each other. And someone will call your name from the end of the room, and you'll be the only one who will hear your name. Because a name resonates. A name, on one hand, is very superficial. On the other hand, a name resonates. When you hear your name, you respond. You turn around. Like the famous story of the Alter Rebbe who raised the Tzemach Tzedek, and he was sitting on his lap in his study, and the Alter Rebbe says, "Where is Zaidi? Where is the grandfather?" And he says, he points to his nose. Alter Rebbe says, "No, that's Zaidi's nose. I'm asking you, where is Zaidi?" He points to his eyes. He says, "No, that's Zaidi's eyes. So where is Zaidi?" And so Tzedek was a very wise, precocious child. He jumps off the lap. He runs behind the door, and he turns around and says, "Zaidi." And Alter Rebbe turns around and says, "Yes." And triumphantly, he points his finger. He says, see, that was Zaidi. Who responded? Who turned around? You. Not your nose, not your eyes, your whole essence. So while a name is only a handle on the label, but through that label, you get the whole essence. A name resonates. And that's why even the names that he mentions, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, the names of the Jewish people, this is the key to redemption. Because the service that a Jew does while the soul is in the body, in the human consciousness, the service that we do, even though it appears to be a very superficial part of the soul, but the service of Hashem that we do on that level, on the human and the conscious level, has the power to reach and to touch, and it resonates with the very essence of the soul. The very essence responds to that and is elevated through that service. So through the name, by calling the right name, this is the ultimate expression of Hashem's love for us. Like a parent's love for a child is expressed by calling their name. It's through the name that actually we get Hashem himself to respond. We get the essence of the soul to respond. And Rashi says Hashem, out of his love for the Jewish people, he counts and he calls the name. And the difference between counting and calling the name, of course, you count something that you love, that you care about. It's precious to you, so you count. You want to count each one, and you count, and you count. On the other hand, the name is what differentiates one from the other. Everything has their own name. Every person has a different name. When I count, each one is one. Each one is the same. It's one, not more, not less. Each one equals one. So it shows, yes, that each one is significant. So counting shows that everything is significant. Everyone counts. You can only count something that's significant. You count your dollars, you count your money, you count your gold, your diamonds, you count your stocks. Things that are significant, you count. Things that are not significant, you don't bother counting. So counting represents something that's significant. On the other hand, but everything that you count is equally significant. There's no differentiation. Everyone counts as one. So when you count the Jewish people, it shows that the Jewish people are significant, but it shows that we're all equally significant. A Jew is a Jew is a Jew. We're all one. We're all the same. We're all, doesn't matter, great, small. At the end of the day, what makes us significant is the fact that we're Jewish. And we're all absolutely, every one of us is absolutely 100% Jewish, not more, not less. So we're all the same. We're all one. We're all the same. We all share the most important thing that matters most is the fact that we're Jewish. And we have this special relationship and connection with Hashem. So in that sense, we're all one. Hashem counts us. And by counting us, he gives us the strength. He says the 70 souls, he counted them. They were counted. 70 souls that came down into Egypt. And then later on, the 600,000. But then, Hashem also calls us by our names. It's what differentiates us. Because each and every one of us is unique. We're all the same doesn't mean we're all the same like a cookie cutter. We're all the same. We're all 100% Jewish, but each one of us expresses that sameness, that Jewishness, that godly connection in our own unique way. Every one of us is unique and different. And we contribute and we add something. There are no two Jews who are alike. Because every one of us expresses the same marriage or relationship to Hashem in our own unique flavor, in our own unique way. Doing the same mitzvah, but in our own unique way. We're all putting on the same tefillin, but we're all doing it in our own unique way, with our own unique flavor, kavanah, intent, feeling, understanding, comprehension. It resonates with each and every one of us in our own unique way. It moves and inspires us in our own unique way. Because no two people think alike, no two people look alike. So the expression of love is both aspects. Hashem counts us and counts us all as equals. That's an expression of love, the fact that he's counting, that we're significant enough to be counted, but we're all equal as one, not more, not less. From the greatest Jew to the smallest Jew is one. On the other hand, he also calls us by our names. And that brings out the significance, the uniqueness, the individuality, what separates us, what characterizes us, and our unique personality and character and circumstance and individuality. So on one hand, we're part of a whole, we're part of the Jewish whole, Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people. A Jew is a Jew, we're all the same, we're all one. Every Jew that ever lived, every Jew that's alive, every Jew that will ever live, we're all not less than one, not more than one. But on the other hand, Hashem also celebrates our uniqueness, our individuality and personality. And that's what we have to bring to the table. Each and every one of us has to develop our own personal relationship with Hashem. What Judaism means to you, to me, what it means to be a Jew, what Shabbat means to me, what it means, how it inspires me today, how I connect with it, how it resonates with me. And then when we serve Hashem, using our consciousness, our personality, individuality, which is what a name is. A name represents the interaction, the interface of the soul and the body. When we become differentiated, the type of mind that we have, the way we understand things, our slant of things, where we process information, the way we react to things, the way we respond to things, the way we love things, so this is already the name. This is already the consciousness, the interface of the soul and the body. That's where the name comes from. That's where the name begins. When the soul enters into the body, is internalized in the body, and is defined by the body, and defined, that's what makes you your own unique person. That's when the moment you're born, and that's the way when you grow up, and the way the body that Hashem gave us, the mind that we have, and the heart that we have, and the circumstances that we have, and, the way we experience life. Even though we're all experiencing life, but each one of us experiences life differently because of our unique circumstances, the times that we grow up, the home, the household that we grow up in, the way our mind thinks, the way our brain thinks, and the way our heart feels and responds, and the way we register things. So that's the name. That's where the name comes in. That's when we have a name. Before that, there is no name. So when we, at that level, when we connect with Hashem, with our own individual, bringing to the table our own individual personality and character, and we serve Hashem, so you shouldn't think it's just superficial, it's just the interface of the soul and the body. So he says, no, this is the key. This is the beginning of the book of Exodus. This is how we leave Egypt. This is what resonates with the core, with the essence of the soul. This is what resonates with Hashem. This is what brings the redemption. So the service that we do on the level of the name, this is actually, it's like when you call a name and the person who responds, the essence of the person who responds. So this is what draws down and evokes the redemption, the Geula. So it's all in the name. It's the book of names. The whole book is called names, and the theme of the book, of course, is the Exodus. And it's through going down into Egypt. The soul comes down into this world. And where you get the name, and then you serve Hashem using your human consciousness, and using your human mind and heart, and serve Hashem, then this is what leads to the redemption. This service affects and elevates the essence of the soul, that even the essence of the soul achieves a redemption, is elevated to a whole different level. And that's the key to our redemption. I'm going to have to be short because I'm running to a wedding, Hani's first cousin, so it's in Brooklyn, so we really got to head out. So I just want to wish you a Shabbos Mevorchim. Tonight is Chav Dalet Tevis, the Alter Rebbe's Yartzeit. So especially all of you who learned Tanya, studied Tanya, the Alter Rebbe, so diligently. Jeff, you went through the whole entire Tanya from the beginning. You were with us from the beginning, all 5 parts. So and every one of you, Benjamin, Benji, you traveled every Tuesday.
Thank you.
4 hours there, 4 hours back. I'm still
it was
astounded.
Totally worth it.
So nearly, you always came to the class, and
I was so excited, Rabbi, when I found out that you were doing this. Thank God, Baruch Hashem.
Rabbi, quick question. I don't know if the answer is going to be as quick, but when we say the name of Hashem, that's a similar concept.
Yes, because Hashem ultimately is beyond names. Like the opening of the commandments is a Noishi. Hashem, I am I beyond names. You can't give a name a description. So a name describes something finite. Hashem himself, his essence, is not only infinite. Hashem himself is undefined. A name, you can call Hashem a name, like the Sefirot, Hashem reveals himself, concentrates himself, kindness, love. So all different Sefirot have a name. When Hashem defines, so to speak, concentrates himself in a certain definition. It's infinite love, it's love, and less, so it's kindness, there's a definition. That's the Hashem beyond definition. So a name, you can't define my name, you can't give it a name. Yes, name is defining and limited. So you can only describe Hashem, only give Hashem a name when Hashem interfaces with us. The Sefirot is where Hashem interfaces with us. Like the soul interfaces with the body. When Hashem interfaces with us, all the interfaces with us, interact with us. Hashem concentrated on himself, emanated from himself, and Sefirot. So we can talk about Hashem's wisdom, understanding, knowledge, mercy, and passion, and kindness, and love, strength, toughness, and strength. Of course, these are all themselves beyond all of this. Then you can't really go over Hashem by any name.
Okay.
And lots of Shabbos.
Have a good time tonight, Rabbi.
We only talk about them. You should actually merit to experience and see it. See things we shouldn't have seen. Shouldn't have experienced. Surely we should merit to see and experience true joy, true celebration, true redemption.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.